NC Pork. Good for the plate, great for the state.
I mean, everybody says it. It's like the improvement is going to be huge from week 1 to week 2. And I just think there's a level of comfort. There's so much unknown in the opening ball game. You just never know. You never know, how you're going to make these play calls and how these kids are going to respond. And some of them, the lights are awful bright, and some of them, their level of comfort is there and they just go play. But I think that's the best thing. The best thing about week 2 is the fact that week 1 is behind you, and you can focus on your football team. And I think it's a great opportunity for Coach Belichick to really get after his team, in a positive way, in a very positive way. But there's a lot of things we're going to look at this tape and we're not going to feel good about. And we just have to learn. It's got to be teaching moments, And so I think Coach Belichick will take advantage of this opportunity. I think him and his staff will sit, and they're going to have to regroup. I think, offensively, North Carolina's got a lot of issues that they need to address between now and week 2. They went almost 2 full games without converting a third down. I'm talking about the bowl game. I'm talking about last night. It just, they were not in sync offensively. I thought Max, really gave them a lift. I thought he did it, but Max Johnson did a nice job throwing a touchdown to his brother, to Jake. That was very good. I think it gave on an otherwise really, really rough night. I thought it gave them a little juice, a little energy. I think, and who knows what they're going to do as far as the quarterback situation goes, but I do know this. Max Johnson he played in the SEC. I coached at the University of Florida. We went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he whipped our tail. Okay. He whipped our tail. He played his butt off. I mean, threw it, ran it, and then, we come back the next year and we play him in Gainesville and he beat us again. So I don't know. There's a lot of talk out there about Max can't do this. Max can't do that. All I know is with my eyes, I've seen the kid perform at a very high level. And so I think he'll get his experience will give them a chance moving forward. But with just the coaching aspect of it, I really got to think that Coach Belichick's going to, like I said, he's going to have his football team. And you talk about a dangerous game, Mike. Holy cow, they're going to Charlotte. They're playing the 49ers at Charlotte, and I'm going to tell you what, I'd hate to have to play. I'd hate to play that game this week. Charlotte's going to be awful excited about the opportunity to play the Carolina, to play the Tar Heels. The place is going to be jam-packed. It's going to be full. And how excited is Coach Belichick and the Tar Heels going to be?
That's a great point. And Jim, you're just through the first 3.5 quarters as you're still trying to matriculate from Spanish time to Eastern Daylight Time. But you've gone through about 3/4 of that TCU North Carolina game. Boy, the Tar Heels came out strong. They went right down the field. And I'm looking around at the guys I'm sitting with in the press box and I'm going, maybe I was wrong about Carolina because I have not held back. I did not think they were going to be very good. I said that if North Carolina won 7 games this year, that Bill Belichick ought to get the Nobel Prize for football coaching. Okay? But what did Sonny Dykes and TCU see from the North Carolina offense that they were able to pretty much end for the next 3 quarters?
Well, 7 plays for 83 yards and a touchdown was the opening drive for North Carolina, and as Tim just said, they were 1 of 10 on third down, and they're 1 for 19 in the last 2 games that they've played. I didn't think they had great field position during the game. They gave up 2 touchdowns on with their offense, an interception and then a fumble return for a touchdown. So that's 14 of the points there. But at the same time, they gave up 542 yards of offense to TCU. So you have to, and Tim just said this also, you have to be a little bit concerned about going on the road and playing at a non-Power 4 school and at their place, and with a team that just gave up 48 points and scored 14 and only had 222 yards of offense, and the guy that you went through training camp with as your quarterback is possibly not going to play. I don't know. Max Johnson is coming off a very serious injury, and he did play well. I think he was 10 of 11 in the game as you move along. So there has to be a lot of concerns. But I think you can make decisions on players, especially when you're in the North Carolina staff's position. You can make decisions on players after one game, because when the lights come on and they get really, really bright, especially for guys, when you're taking guys from non-Power 4 schools and smaller schools, and you put them in front of 50,000 fans and all the media hype and that went on in that game, well, all of a sudden it gets a little bit harder to play, especially when that other team is lining up, kicking your ass and hitting you in the mouth. And so it gets difficult. So you can make player decisions and how many plays a guy's going to play in the next game. And those decisions will be critical for the Carolina staff. Tim, you can comment on this. I thought Carolina struggled in pass protection. They could not protect. Got to get the ball out of his hands a whole lot quicker than he did, and then they had 50 yards rushing in the game. So they've got some questions to answer up front. So those are numbers, and it's not like TCU is TCU is a good team with a lot of returning starters, but they're not ranked in the top 5 in the country. So let's be real about where we are right now.
You mentioned field position. Why do you take the ball out of the end zone 2 yards deep in the end zone and try to run it out when you get it for free at the 25? To me, every time you get stopped at the 19 or the 18, that's a 7 or a 6 yard loss. Even if it's a stop at the 23, it's still a 2 yard loss. What is the risk reward, Tim Brewster, of bringing the ball out as opposed to just taking the free 25 yards?
Mike, I coached the kickoff return unit for a long time in my career, and been a special teams coach. And I've said this, and Jim will vouch for this, is if you just fair catch every single kickoff return, you will be in the top 5 in the country in kickoff returns, beginning every drive on the 25-yard line. You have to be very, very judicious in your decision making on when you're going to return a kick today. Because to be quite honest with you guys, they're trying to eliminate that play from the game. They're trying to eliminate it. And so, let's be smart there. But I'm with you, Mike, 100%. Every time I see a kid, just fair catch the ball, start the drive on the 25-yard line, and away we go. And so, but yeah, I don't get that. I don't understand why there's not more thought process involved in just fair catching it and starting on the 25. I think it's a great opportunity for you. It's a very solid field position, and so. I would, if I was coaching that unit, Mike, I'd have a piece of somebody's behind a little bit.
This has been Bold North State Football Daily, an exclusive presentation of the North Carolina Sports Network. Make sure you follow us on social media at the NC Sports Net, and check out our website that is wall-to-wall coverage of North Carolina sports at ncsportsnetwork.com. Our foundational partner is the North Carolina Pork Council, raising the bacon, raising the bar. Telling the stories of the bold North State, this is the North Carolina Sports Network.